The grand jury in Fulton County, Georgia, could announce a new indictment against former President Donald Trump as early as tomorrow.
The panel has been investigating the alleged efforts by Trump and his inner circle to overturn the results of the 2020 election in the state. Trump railed against the potential indictment on social media this morning. He called the investigation against him, quote, ridiculous, and denied he tampered with the election. Yesterday, the former president attended the Live Golf Invitational at his course in Bedminster, New Jersey. He signed autographs and greeted supporters as he drums up support for his 2024 campaign.
And one day earlier, Trump seized the spotlight at the Iowa State Fair. The former president walked through the grounds and drew a massive crowd while delivering a mini stump speech. But joining us now from Atlanta is CBS News Homeland Security and Justice reporter Nicole Sganga, who has arrived to help monitor what's going on there. And Nicole, just how large is the scope of this investigation at this point? What key moments are prosecutors likely to be bringing up as they present their case before this grand jury?
Well, Ed, Meg, good to be with you. This 2.5-year investigation now coming to a head, and Fulton County DA Fani Willis began this probe back in February of 2021, just weeks after that now notorious phone call from then President Trump to Georgia Secretary of State and fellow Republican Brad Raffensperger, wherein President Trump had asked for the top election official to find votes. Well, how many votes? 11,780 votes, which was one more than the margin that President Trump eventually won by here in the state of Georgia. Now, the interests of this investigation, though, have gone just beyond that phone call since, to include about 75 witnesses and over a dozen potential targets. Among the witnesses, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, U.S. Senator from South Carolina Lindsey Graham, and Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr. Some of the targets beyond the former president are Trump counsel and ally Rudy Giuliani, as well as the so-called fake electors who are part of that plan to reverse Georgia's electoral college vote. Another key moment that the DA is certain to focus in on, of course, that December 2020 meeting at the Georgia state capitol of those fake electors.
And Nicole, Fulton County DA Fani Willis could pursue Trump under racketeering laws, which is commonly known for its use against organized crime. How exactly would that work?
Yeah, a lot of times we think of racketeering law and we think of the federal statute back in the 1970s that was first waged against mobsters and has since been used against criminal gangs, drug cartels, corporations. What we're talking about is the RICO Act, or the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act. And Georgia's RICO Act happens to be quite broad, and what it allows prosecutors to do is to string together evidence that might not stand alone in the court of law. Now, in this case, prosecutors are going to aim to prove that Trump and his allies, including those fake electors we talked about, undertook criminal actions as part of a shared goal. They are going to try to prove there's been a pattern of racketeering activity, things like witness intimidation, false statements, and even forgery.
So, Nicole, once the former president is indicted, if he's indicted, what happens next? How long can we have to wait to potentially see him in court there in Atlanta? And how would this case be different from the others against him?
Yeah, well, once that indictment is handed up, if it is handed up to the Superior Court judge here in Fulton County, it could be days, Ed, it could be a matter of weeks before the president appears here for that possible arraignment. Why this Georgia case, stands out, and just to remind our viewers, we are talking about 4 sets of criminal charges if we see this indictment that would be set against the former president in as many months. So we have that New York case out of the Manhattan DA's office centered on alleged hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. Of course, the federal case in Florida centered on the mishandling of classified documents and alleged cover-up. And that D.C.-based federal case centered on efforts to thwart the 2020 election. Now, the latter, led by special counsel Jack Smith, has the most overlap, the biggest Venn diagram with this one. And of course, Jack Smith also interested in some of those phone calls that Trump made to Georgia officials, interested in the appointment of these so-called fake electors. But why this one stands out is it is virtually pardon-proof. Unlike a federal case, this one in the state of Georgia would be much harder to make disappear. Another thing, we could see it play out on live television, potentially. The county courthouse here has previously allowed cameras inside.
Interesting.
Oh.
Nicole
So this
Sganga.
might be the first time we see him in a courtroom on camera.
Could be a national spectacle, Ed.
That's one way of putting it.
All right, Nicole Sganga, thank you.
Thank you.